Hey guys, welcome back to another video in Spring Boot series. This video is going to be a follow-up from the last video where we discussed how can we integrate a Postgres database with our Spring Boot service. So in this video we are going to play with certain things. For example, we're going to change this DDL auto from create to some other value, and we'll see how that affects. And then I want to show you some commands with Docker, that how can we stop our Docker container, how can we start it back. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Alright, so now in our last video we created a simple configuration in our application properties file where we defined a connection to the to our Postgres database. We provided other credential and stuff like that. And if one of the thing that we did, and which I didn't explain in the last video, was we explicitly defined create here, right? So there are a couple of values that DDL auto can take, this particular configuration can take, and they are, we can obviously specify create, which was there before. We can also do it, do update here, right? We also can do none here. I think we discussed none in the last video, but we haven't discussed update. Just to recap, none, if you do none, then when you start your service, Spring Boot is not automatically not going to create a schema for you, right? It's because we are saying we don't want DDL auto creation, right? So we are telling Hibernate, don't create a schema for us, right? When we have a create value here, we are telling Hibernate to create a schema for us, right? So let's have create here, and let's see what happens. I'm going to restart the service, and then as soon as it restart, we'll go to Postman to send some requests. I'm gonna send one post request. Okay, one sent. I'm gonna send another. I'm gonna send another. So there are three objects should be in the database. Let's look. So we have three objects, 1 2 3. All right, so now let's stop the service, right? I'm gonna stop the service. Service is stopped. Now let's go back to the database. I'm gonna refresh the results. Okay, so we still have three results. Now go back to the service and let's restart the service again. Now when we restarting the service, I want to show you one thing. Now we'll go to the database. We added three values before, right? So I'm going to refresh, and you see all the three values just went away. So what happened, right? um, what happened actually is, whenever we have a create in the configuration, we are telling Spring Boot to create the schema from scratch every time we are starting our service, right? So when we stopped the service, our schema was there, but as soon as we restarted it, we scratched the existing schema and we built a new schema from scratch. And by doing that, we deleted all the entries from our table, right? So that's create for us, right? But if you don't want to do that, if you want to persist our entries in the database all the time, which we want to do in a production environment, right? We don't want to say for tomorrow our server goes down, we don't want database to emptied out. By that, we want database to stay there, we want our records to be there, right? So we'll use update in that scenario. So let's see what happens. I'm going to restart the service. So update will take effect, and then we're going to go to Postman to send couple of requests. So that's one, that's two, and that's three. Okay, so we'll go back to the database. Three records are there. Let's go back and stop the service, right? Just to make sure three records are still there. Now I'm going to restart the service, and we'll go back to the database, and those three records should still be there, right? So restarting the service. All right, it's coming back up. Now I can go to the database and I'll refresh, and you can see records are there. Now let's add couple of more records. This should be fourth, this should be fifth. Now go back and let's see. You see fourth and fifth just got added, right? And these three were from the previous server, previous running server, and we stopped the server after three. Then we added fourth and fifth, right? So that's that's how update is very important to us. We can preserve, we can persist the entries in the database without then we can change our server. We can start it. Um, we can do any other troubleshootings, any other updates if server demands, and we can still have our database solid and intact in the background. So that was one of the important thing that I wanted to show you. And now let's jump to the another section of this video where it's a very small part of the video, but it's still very important because I thought some of you can get stuck in that. So um, right now, if you remember from the last video, we used a Postgres container, right? We pulled the Postgres image from the internet, and then we did a Docker run command to run the entire container, right? But if for whatever reason your Docker container went down because you restarted your machine, or you simply stopped the container, then the next time when you're going to run your service, it's not going to start because it will say I don't have a database to connect to, right? And I can show you how I can show you that particular use case, right? So let's stop this container. And so in order to stop, we'll say docker stop, and we'll put the container ID in front. So we'll say 6 in 9. You can actually copy paste the entire thing, or you can just type in first couple of entries, and it stopped. Let's do docker ps, and we can see there is no container running. That means our database is down, right? We don't have a database. So let's go to Spring Boot service. I'm going to restart the service, and now the service won't restart. It will complain that I can't find the database, and right here. And if we see the logs, it will say somewhere, we can start seeing the Postgres errors already. Connection exception, connection refused, right? Because we don't have a Postgres running at all. You can see all the logs are suggesting towards that direction, right? So let's go back and let's restart this guy again. So in order to start the container, we're going to run our old docker run command. By doing that, and let's press enter here, and as soon as we do that, says there is a conflict because it's already used by this container. You have to remove the container. So instead of running the new container, we'll just gonna copy that, and then we'll do docker start, and we'll paste this entire thing. And as I was telling you before, instead of pasting the entire thing, we can just simply type couple of few letters or digits of that container, right? And docker started. Let's do docker ps to make sure it has been started, and we can see it's been started, right? And it's listening at 5432. Now we can go back to our service. We can restart our service, and at this time it won't complain because our Postgres is there, and because of these application configuration file, it will be able to connect to that Postgres instance, right? So if for whatever reason you are stuck at that particular error, the simplest way to is find out if your Docker container is running or not, if your Postgres Docker container is running or not. If it's not running, you can just simply start it by providing the container ID in front of it. All right. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys like this video. Stay tuned for more update like this. Thank you.